Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tier 4 Mephisto in this video ASAP, but I just want to start off by saying apologies for the last two videos because I had the audio, the in-game audio, on way too loud, and unfortunately right now where I am, I can't edit the videos correctly with, kind of advanced recording techniques in order to adjust the audio, and so that's why it was really hard to hear my voice, and so that's why this video won't have any in-game sounds. I do apologize for the quality of the last two videos because of that. I wasn't aware of the fact. I mean, what I should have done, if you're wondering from like a recording point of view, is I should have recorded a small sample and then checked it, made sure it was good, and then gone from there. And I didn't do that in my haste, so I do want to apologize for that. And I think the game is telling me that the cost of Mephisto is going to reflect my subsequent punishment here for garfing up the audio. Actually, it's not too bad. I think it's just about average or maybe slightly above average. But because he's native tier 3, the idea of above average is extremely expensive. You can see it's over 7 million a pop per skill. Thankfully, even though he transforms and technically has like 9 or 10 skills, you don't have to pay for it twice. But yeah, jokes aside here, we're going to pop this one off. And it looks like he doesn't actually get, I really like his tier 3 advancement. I don't think he gets very good, his stats are already very high for a native tier, for a tier 3, 80. Maybe his stats get higher? It's a really long animation here. His HP didn't seem like it moved by very much though. Let's take a look here again. He gets about, yeah, only about 17,000 HP. And 18,000 energy attack is quite a lot. He actually gets more energy attack than HP. So, interesting there. I'm not saying he's bad for PvP. But I think if people are, confused or maybe wondering why he's so much better at PvE, that may be where the data is coming from. The call is coming from inside the house. So, we're going to go ahead and set a pretty just standard striker here. We're not going to get too crazy with the striker. We're not going to worry too much about that. We are ranked 1300, which is not that good considering that Mephisto is extremely competitive, but the build is in progress right now. I have 9 Odin's Blessings. I know it's not 20, but it's getting there. We have the rank 5 type enhancement. We have the Power of Angry Hulk stage 12. I do really want to change this to Overdrive, but I'm going to have to wait. I'm probably also going to open up a second slot for him for a defensive set like Spider Sense or Tenacious Symbiote just for PvP opportunities when they arise. We did end up picking up the 5-star artifact, so we do have a bunch of additional elemental damage. I did the calculations for those of you wondering. The difference between a 4-star and a 6-star artifact for Mephisto is about 11% elemental damage increase. So that includes tier 4, the instinct bump. So between a 4-star and a 6-star artifact, you're looking at about a 30% increase. It's a lot closer to 10%. I think it's about 12% from 5-star to 6-star. So you don't really need to sweat it too much. Honestly, I think 4-star is fine for Mephisto. I'm not saying you should try to go for 6, but I think for those of you who have a 5 and are sad or kind of like disappointed, I think you're not missing out on very much, to be honest. And there's other characters that kind of need it more crucially, like Sentry. But yeah, that's the build. I think I'm also ranked 1300 because I don't have a CTP yet. I still just have the flame damage proc. But what I've heard from other content creators and people is that Mighty Competition works really well on him, particularly for ABX and ABL scores, if that's what you're going for. I do want to do just a small test here at tier 4 with this Extreme Obelisk. I know it's not great. It's just an obelisk, but I am curious how it performs. And, I'm not going to go back later on to give him a non-CTP. So unfortunately for Gene and Kang World Boss Legend, there aren't that many stages that are very high up that Kang can do. So this is actually only 39. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But it's okay because we will go into World Boss Legend Plus and test that out, of course. We just want to get a bit of a pulse here. Yeah, I think, not that you would tier 4 a native tier 3 and give him an obelisk. I think that's obviously a little bit cooked. But I did kind of hope for maybe a little bit better. I don't know. The tier 4 does add a bit of damage as well. You'll see it here in a second when we pop this. Well, we're not because he moved. Damn. Yeah, man. I'm stuck in this stupid animation now until the cows come home. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad. Now, Mephisto is available for 40, stage 40 of Thanos World Boss Legend Plus, but that is a stage probably reserved for Brilliant CTPs only. So we're going to test him here, again, with an Obelisk on 9, just to see how he does. Oh yeah, you do see quite a bump here on the tier 4 damage wise. Like the tier 4 ability adds a big chunk of damage, so it's quite nice. I think it's going to feel a lot like Null and Thanos' tier 4 for a lot of people, which is quite nice. Yeah, just kickstarts the rotation, kickstarts the damage quite well. Maybe it can help you proc. It might be a little bit more difficult from the point of view of actual proc builds if you're running, you know, like an obelisk or an energy or destruction or something like that. You might have some difficulty there with the tier 4 skill. Or you might notice it doesn't have as much of a pop, but this is actually very good. This is sub 1 minute. That's actually very good. And we opted for Dr. Voodoo and Wong support. You could go with Taskmaster, you could go with Ebony Maw. There's quite a few options, but I think those were the some of the best that I could choose, and they were just kind of fun as well. Now, as for PvE builds on Mephisto, I think the overwhelming majority of competitive players right now are screaming competition, either a Mighty or a Brilliant if you can get your hands on one. But I have heard players say that it's possible for a Mighty competition to actually outperform a Brilliant Rage, which I think is nuts for specific content like ABX, ABL. So I wanted to try that out, mainly because it could obviously save people who only have a few CTPs if they don't want to make that big of an investment. And if Mephisto as an expensive character can carry you with a less expensive build, otherwise it's actually really good. So I want to test that out really quickly, but I also want to very quickly give you guys the total cost. So I was at 32,000 carbonadium, and I'm now at 22,800. So it cost me just under 10,000. It cost me like 9,200 carbonadium, and then I was at 25. I believe I was at 25,000. A few days ago, we had the Universal Mail ABL Day, which unfortunately gets tormented by Loki. So let's see now with just a mighty competition what Mephisto can do here. Just have to wait a little bit, be a little bit patient for that 5th skill to come off cooldown, I think. Or maybe I'm just going to keep making that mistake over and over again. Who knows? 2.3 million is a good start, although my next proc did trigger there. I don't know what the timing is on the 3rd skill, so I hope there we go, the fracture lands fully. We can open with the 3 early. We're not getting the Fury proc, I was going to say the Rage proc, as often as we would like. But yeah, you do get a lot of floating. You can see here I'm like in the next rotation already. So I'm going to hold the 3, just waiting for the 5. And then I'm going to hold the 6 like we do with Luna. Again, I don't know if this is necessarily the best option. I'm not, I don't have the time right now where I am in the situation I'm in to get all up to date. So, probably a good chance I'm playing it with some inaccuracy, or maybe I'm inventing some new Mephisto meta, boys. The new Mephisto meta with 8 mil plus. Let's go. All right. The never pressing 2 meta. Oh, I should have waited for 3. That was my bad. 3 was looking at me in the face to charge up 7, and I said, no, dude, forget it. Squeezing the 7 there. I like the waves on 5. It looks sick. So I think you can rip 3 pretty early. It lasts a pretty long time to get that fracture in. Here we get a really nice rotation. We're already at 10 million. Yeah. This is looking like he's got it in the bag, dude. It's curtains for Loki. Absolutely curtains. That was a really late start. I don't know if I should have just waited. I think I'm just gonna spam, man. Just do it like Magneto. Screw it. As long as you don't press 2, you're good. Just do it like Magneto, fam. You can always use the V-pad on 4 to go and collect. Now, ideally, you want, yeah, so positioning's a little bad there. Ideally, you do want the Surtur to be against the wall. You want him to dash. I was doing my Bugs Bunny impression. Abadi, 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 abadi. That's all, folks. But that's okay. Hey, recording on the same device that I'm playing on while yapping, cranking out 14 mil first try like it's nothing. Yeah, bro, it's curtains. It's curtains for Loki. So all the players out there playing ABL, suffering with Loki, congratulations. You are now freed from the curse. You probably already knew that if you're like up to date with the game. But I'm a little slow here, you know. I'm a little slow. I'm an old man now, so it is what it is. But yeah, that was amazing. That was 14 mil. It was easy. Now I just want to quickly pivot, and we're going to crank over to a Rage. You're going to see the same busted-ass gameplay from yours truly, except it's with a Rage now. And I want to see that 14 million. Is it really going to be a lot higher? I think, like, realistically, I would need to see about 15 and change. So I need to see, bro, how funny is it that you get used to not pressing the second skill with Mephisto, but you have to remember to press it the very first time, otherwise you brick the start? That's hilarious to me. There's a joke there somewhere, but I don't know. All right. Let's see here. I would need to see, yeah, I'd probably need to see north of 1 million for it to be worth going with the Rage over the mighty competition. It's just too valuable otherwise, right? It's just too valuable otherwise. You're saving such an important slot for just a mighty. It's such good value. So in that sense, I would say Mephisto does bring a lot of value. If he can perform that well, 14, 15 million with just a mighty CTP is pretty nuts. Now, obviously, we don't know, like, the competition CTP is still pretty new, and you can make the argument that the devs are still kind of like building characters, crafting characters who work well with it. We've seen that in the past with other CTPs where they kind of, you know, there's a bit of a delay between the CTP coming out and like actual good characters for the CTP kind of emerging. So that is a possibility. Unfortunately here that we don't have the 7 ranked up or the 6 ranked up there. I think we get a bit worse timing on the skills being available, but it's looking all right. I'm just gonna pop the 6 to try to maximize the Odin's buff, you know, window. This is the true Magneto rotation, bro. Just spam everything except 2. Beautiful. All right. Okay, not bad. 9.4. Almost 9.5. All right, let's see here. Opening salvo. I love the word salvo, man. I'm spammed down the channel these days. So get ready for that, boys. Get ready for the salvos. You know what I'm saying? Did he dash already? No, he still hasn't dashed. What a goon. We need to bring back goon as like a normal word as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like henchman. We need the word like henchman. Or like a dork kind of thing. Okay. Where's the thing dropping? It's dropping there. Alright. Probably should have waited for 3 there again. But my own playing aside, it doesn't seem like we're actually going to be behind. Isn't that insane? I wonder if other players have experienced the same thing. Or if this is like even more pronounced. But it seems like it's a little bit worse score. But that's crazy. I think we got a bit more. I think it was a bit worse with the timing. I think some level of delaying with Mephisto is probably good. That one I did kind of full spam, and I think the score was a little bit worse. But it's crazy that it's not, like, even with a worse playstyle, it's crazy that it's not better. And again, Mephisto. I might have said Loki a few times there. Mephisto not having guaranteed crit rate obviously is a big factor. We've talked about this already when we compared the Rage and the competition. Characters like Storm, characters like Jean, like Hulk, who don't have access to guaranteed crit rate. The competition really shines with those characters. Of course, Luna being number 1. I should have named her first. But I think it really goes to show how far that can go, where you're actually seeing in some cases, for specific game modes anyways, right? ABL in this case, not all PvE content, but specifically for things like ABL, if you want to be replacing Loki, although the character in Mephisto is going to be more expensive, otherwise the build is going to be way cheaper, right? Because the average player with Loki with a Mighty Rage is not even going to get close to 13 million, let alone 14 million or more. So, and that's an equivalence, right? Mighty Rage with a Mighty Competition. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty nice. I do want to test him out with other builds, other CTPs. I do want to see his PvP performance as well. But for now, we'll keep it short with PvE. I wanted to highlight the Rage and competition conversation. And I wanted to get into tier 4 for you guys and apologize for the sound stuff. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. And I'll see you when I get back to Canada. Take care.